All right, so I'm back. It's past 10, 9:10. So I guess I can kickstart. Yeah, so before I continue or even begin, please, I hope you guys are hearing me. For
Yes, sir.
yeah, so
Yes, sir.
all right. Yeah, so we'll be having our midterm God willing next week. So please prepare for that. It will be on the model. So those of us who have still not paid our fees, please go and pay your fees and make sure you get access. Yeah, so it's going to be everything on Python and then PHP. And in the view of this, next 2 weeks, in fact, after this particular lecture, there is a project to be worked on, and I'm going to use next 2 weeks class to get that done. Yeah, so have that in mind so that when the time comes, you will be able to submit your assignment as well. All right, so let's see what we have for today. So today we're looking at operators that are being used in the PHP fraternity. We also have looking at the arithmetic operators, assignment operators, comparison operators, conditional operators, logical operators. I hope if time permits, we'll look at the if statement, the if and else statement, and then the if and else if statements. All right, so PHP operators, we have operators are used to perform operations. Yes, operators are used to perform operations on variables and also values. Values here, well, we can think of constants. Okay. Hmm. You haven't seen anything yet. All right. Some of the operators we'll be looking at, we have the arithmetic operators, assignment operators, comparison operators, increment and decrement operators, logical operators, and then conditional assignment operators. Now, I want to know, have you guys started your midterm this week? Have you written any paper this week?
Yes.
You've written a paper this week.
No, it was last week.
Last week.
Yes.
Hey, so that means I am the last man standing, or
Oh,
others
no,
to
you are
have.
not the last man. I think you are the second.
Oh, okay. So I think next week will be fine for us to take our midterm so that I can have the scores as early as possible. All right. Yeah, so PHP arithmetic operators are used with numeric values to perform common arithmetic operations such as addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and etc. Now, some of the operators are, some of the operators run through most of the programming languages. Those that you studied in C++, Python, the same applies here in PHP as well. Yeah, so addition is still addition, subtraction is still subtraction, multiplication, that's the star or the asterisk. Also have a division, a modulus with a percentage symbol, and then exponential, we have the double star. And I think we looked at some practicals during the Python session, so I'll not try, repeating myself again here, not to waste time. All right, so the PHP assignments, anytime you say assignment, it's just the introduction of, how do I even call it? That's the introduction of the equal to symbol. So for instance, let me open any document. So when we say assignment, it's not anything scary to note. It's just the introduction of an assignment. So just as we have in our normal maths, when you are doing any form of calculation, x equals 6. So 6 has been assigned to what? X. And x here is a variable, and then we are placing the value 6 in x. So once we hear anything like assign or create a variable and and assign a b c d to it, it's just creating any variable at all you want. Then you just go ahead and so create a variable to hold your name, or create a variable and assign it to your name. So you can just go ahead and say a name. So assignment is just the introduction of your own. So we have something like this, and that is fine. So the introduction of the equal to symbol is what we mean by assignment. So please don't forget that. All right. So there are some other stuffs that we have to note. We have x. So x equals y. It says the left operand gets the value of the operation on the right. So also note that anytime you do any form of assignment, you do, the right hand side is being stored in the left hand side. Okay, so that is the assignment we are talking of. So anytime you have any equation like this, it means that the content here has been given to this particular variable to hold. So x is 6, and the name has what we call Kinsey. If you have something like this, it means that this variable has been declared and it has no value in it. So once you go ahead and introduce the equal to sign and then a value follows, it means that whatever is on the right hand side has been given to whatever is in the left hand side. Yeah, so it's basically explaining that. And they also have addition. Another operation that we can also do is we having x equals x plus y. So assuming x is 2 and then y is 2. Once the addition is being made, then the value will be stored in this particular variable x. Now, there's a way of rewriting this. If you have something like this and you want to rewrite it, you can write like this: x plus y, x plus equals y is also acceptable. Now, all you are trying to say that this equation here is the same as this. So instead of bothering yourself with something like this, remember x is being repeated here again. So we are saying that if you want to have a shortcut to this, write the same as here is not a code. I'm just teaching something here. So you can have a dollar sign x, then the operator comes in, then equal to the other variable. So we are saying that this is tantamount to that. So either one that you want to choose, you can go ahead and use it when you are building up a project. So the same thing happens to all the other operators. You can see x equals y has also been written as x. Then the operator comes in, then the assignment follows like that. All right, so we have this simple codes here. to represent whatever we have in here. Okay, it's as simple as that. So with this, it can also be written as x equals um, this x plus the 100, and everything has been explained here. All right, so let's continue. We have the comparison operators as well. With the comparison operators, if you want to compare if two items are equal, we need double of the equal to. So once you have double of the equal to, that one you are doing what you call. Now these comparison operators are widely used in conjunction with the if and else statement. That is where I want us to focus a bit. As for the conversion of mathematical operators, operations to programming operations, you guys are good with it, so I don't want to spend much time. All right, so in PHP, if you want to compare if two items are equal, you just use the double equal to, and then so it says this will return true if x is equal to y, and also if you have triple of the equal to symbol, it says returns true if x is equal to, and they are of the same type. They are of the same type, then you can go ahead and use the triple equal to. Then if you want to check whether they are not equal to, you have the exclamation symbol followed by the equal to sign, and then it shows that this and this are not equal to. And also, if you want to show another form of not equal to, you can use the left angle bracket and the right angle bracket to show that this and that are not. So two items are not equal. Remember, for comparison, if you want to compare, then that means there are two things involved, or there are multiple, more than two items involved. So you can only compare when you are looking at two or more items on your codes. Okay. Yeah. So if you also want to check if two items are not identical, you can go ahead and use the equal to, the exclamation sign, and then double equal to. You can see things are, really easy here. So you want to check if an item is greater than the other, you can just go ahead and then use the greater than sign or the right angle bracket. If you want to check for left angle, something that is lesser than another, just go ahead and then use the left angle bracket. If you want to check if two items, one is greater than the other, one is greater than or equal to the other, just have your right angle bracket followed by your equal to sign, and also you have less than or equal to, with the less than symbol coming first, and then the equal to. So yeah, sometimes students tend to make mistakes by first bringing the equal to sign before the angle bracket, but just listen to the word greater than or equal to. So greater than will come first, then the equal to follows. So don't be confused as to whether the equal to symbol comes in first or it comes out. And also when you check the trend, the equal to symbols are always at the end of every uh, operator. Operators that have that need to incorporate equal to symbols are always at the far end of the operator. Then we also have the logical operators. Very soon I'll start a little bit of practicals so that you can appreciate how this thing works. So PHP logical operators, we have the AND. So the AND, you write the full word AND. Now, in C++, what is the symbol for AND? Logical operator for AND.
Two ampersand.
Yeah, two ampersands. What about the OR?
Two pipe symbols.
The pipe symbol. Okay, that's good. Yeah, so in PHP, you can use the word and, or you can use or for that. You can also go for the double ampersand. You can also go for the double pipe, and then the not is also the exclamation sign here. Yeah. So we also have the XOR. It's normally not used though, but it's good to also have an idea that we have the XOR, which is true if either X or Y is true, but not okay. If either of them is true, but not both. I use the OR. All right. So remember, I was saying that with the comparison operators and the logical operators, they you can often see them whilst you are dealing with the if and else statements. So let's see some examples of if and else statements. Then we can go ahead and then you can go ahead and then you know code. But let's go ahead and first see how the syntax looks like. The if statement, how does it look like? Then it will. I think that one will be an eye opening so that you can be able to uh, know what to do when anytime you are dealing with the if and else statement. Now, as I also explained in the Python section, if, as we all know, is for taking or making decisions, and every decision you want to take, there is a corresponding action to it. So in programming, we use the if and else statement to ensure that such accomplishments are made. Now, conditional statements are used to perform different actions based on are used to perform different actions based on different conditions. Now, very often when you write code, you want to perform different actions for different conditions. Yes, you can use the conditional statements in your code to do this. Also, to do this, we have the if statement, which executes some code if one condition is true. So if one condition is true, you can just go ahead and use the if statement. In cases where um, this if and else statement executes some code if a condition is true and the other condition is also what? False. So you can use only if statement only if you have only one condition and it is true. If not, where you have instances where you can only go for uh, true or false. If this doesn't happen, the other one has to what come up. You have two outputs, then you can go for if and else. So if you are going out and it is raining, take an umbrella, else stay inside. So these are conditions. It is raining. If you check and you want to go out, you can go out with an umbrella, else you have to stay indoors. So there are two actions to be done. It's either you are going out with an umbrella or you stay indoors. So that is when we use the if and else statement. They also have if, else if, and else. So here we use this particular type of conditional statement if we have different codes for more than two conditions. For instance, you realize that in your exams, if someone gets 80, I don't know if you get 80 and above, you get an A. If you have 70, you get a B. So assuming we have this C. So once you have multiple conditions and multiple outputs, then you can go for if and the else statement. So let's see how let's see some examples on how to use this particular statement. All right, so with the if statement, the syntax is this, as simple as that. You begin with a keyword, then you open and close a parenthesis. Inside the brackets, you pass in the logical statement. Now, the logical statement or the conditional statement has to do with these symbols. So these symbols these symbols are the ones to replace the conditional statement as it's represented here. So don't think too much. The logical operators or the logical condition that you are supposed to use, I've given all the name. I've given you all the operators. These comparison operators, they are the ones to be used in that particular bracket. Then once you are done doing that, you open a curly bracket, then you pass in the statement or what's supposed to be done. So if it is true, what's supposed to be done? Then once you are done, you just close the bracket and then that is it. So let me launch my example. So I'll start my example. Machine is running slow. All right. I'm going to go back to our example. I'll locate my htdocs. Then I have my demo. Still use the same file that we used the last time. All right, so we are looking at the if statement. So now let's take a simple scenario where we can say that assuming you have you want to check if someone is eligible to vote. Okay, you want to check if someone is eligible to vote. Based on the person's age. All right. So we were just saying that with the if statement, if you want to check, you should first declare your variables. So we're writing a complete program, which is very simple. So assuming the person's age is 15. Now I want to check if this particular age is eligible to vote. Whilst we know that in our world here, for you to be able to vote, you should be 18 years and above. So you can just go ahead with the if statement. So the first point of contact is your if reserved word. You open and close a parenthesis. Then inside here, you check if age. You check if the age. So you say age is greater than or equal to 18. If it is, then you say echo. You can vote. Then we terminate. Then once we are done, close our curly bracket. So once we run, let's save this. And let's go ahead and run this. So I have localhost. Demo. Now, have you seen what is happening? Who can tell what is happening here? We have 2 minutes before it goes off. I'm done coding. I've run the application and it's showing nothing here. Who can tell what's wrong or what is happening? Maybe there's nothing wrong, but tell me what is happening.
Sir, this I think because the age is not like the person is not eligible to vote. That's why nothing is showing.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, so the reason why we are seeing nothing displaying here is because we told the program that if the person's age is greater than or equal to 18, then it should echo that the person can vote. But here in the case, our age here is was 15. So 15 is less than equal to less than or equal to 18. So since it is less than that, we can't go ahead and what? So let's intentionally make this 19. Now, this age here is now 19. So 19 is 19 greater than or equal to 18? Yes, it is. So to go ahead and then display the statement here as you can vote. So with the if statement is normally used when you have or to display when you only have a true value. So when the value is true, it will go ahead and then display this. Now, when we had the age to be 15, now it made the work false because age with a 15 was not greater or is not greater than or equal. Where were we? Yeah, so I was explaining that with the if statement alone, when your condition is true, that is where you can have a display of your output or what you want the system to perform. So that is why we tend to use the if statement only. Now, in instance where you want to employ the if and else, so remember that once we had our age 15, now the 15 made this condition false because 15 was less than 18. That is why when we run the application, we didn't see any information, telling us what to do or what has happened. The system just kept everything to itself because we have instructed it to do so. But the moment it becomes positive, or what we call the true statement, now 20 here, age now is now 20. So 20 is better than 18, which is true. So once it is true and you run your application, it will show. Now, there are instances where you may want to employ the if and the else statement. So if you want to do if and else statement, it's just the same scenario. You have the if condition, the if statement coming in. Then you put in the conditional statements. So something like this should be equal to this should be equal to that. Then we have the greater than or equal to 18. Then you open and close your curly brackets. Now we are saying that once you are able to write this condition, then your first statement here, now this statement, we call it the true statement. The true statement. So your first statement here within the curly bracket here is the true statement. Now, should it be false, that is where we employ the else statement. So the else statement, check where the else statement is beginning from. After you close the parentheses of the if, then we can go ahead and put in our else statement. So the else statement too has an opening and closing brackets. And then we are saying that should your condition be false, then the else statement should take over and display. Then you can go ahead and say cannot vote. So in here, the else will normally take what we call a false statement. So assuming we have our age here to be, let's say, let's pick 15. Now, our age here, which is 15, age 50, which is less than 18. Now, sorry, greater than 18. You said 15 is 15 greater than 18. It is not true, which means it is false. So go ahead and give us the false value. So let's run this and appreciate how the if and else statements work. So the you can vote here. The you can vote here is for the first for the if statement alone. So don't focus here. Focus on this one. You cannot vote. Yes. So our age here is now 15, which is false. So it has to display and tell us that we cannot vote. As simple as that. So this is how we can actually use the if and else statement. The rules are simple. Begin with the if statement, then based on the scenario, check the conditions involved, then use the appropriate conditional symbol within a bracket. Once you are done, you open a curly bracket and you pass in your statement. What should be done? Okay, what should be done? Else. So now let's take another example. Another scenario. Now calculate the area and the circumference of a circle. If the radius is less than or equal to 6, if the radius is less than or equal to 6, go ahead and compute the area. Else compute the circumference. Please, I hope this statement is loud and clear. So we are going to do two calculations. We're going to look at area and the circumference. Now we are saying that if the radius is less than or equal to 6, then go ahead and compute the area. Else, you calculate for the circumference. So I'm going to use the if and else statement again. Computing area and the circumference of a circle. Should I allow someone to try, or I should just do my thing? Please, anyone? Hello. Or I should mention names. Can anyone hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we can.
And you can't do this simple work or what? So the way you guys are silent, or you are still working it out before you come to me. Yes, anyone? All right, let me go ahead and. All right. So, assuming our radius.
Hello, sir.
Uh-huh.
I'll try.
All right.
Okay. So let's create a variable x
X. Okay.
and assign it to a number, any number. Okay, 2. I'll say 2.
2. Okay.
And another variable y.
And a variable Y.
And you assign it to 10.
All right.
Okay. So I'm doing for the area of the circle. I say area of the
Okay.
area of the square.
Of
So
the circle, not square.
of the circle rather.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was area of a square.
Hey. Oh, I wrote a square. It has been a circle all this while. Oh, you don't know the formula for finding area of a square. We've already looked at that. Okay, Manasseh,
I
come in.
forgot.
Okay. Oh, so I'm coming. So is it that you guys don't know this area, the formula for calculating the area and the circumference of the circle?
We do.
Yeah, that would have been, I don't know how to put it. Surprising that you guys don't know. All right, so Manasseh, take us through. Manasseh, you raised up your hand, so I thought you want to work it out for us.
Hello, sir.
Yes. Come again?
Hello. Can I be heard?
Yes, I can hear you.
So, can you create a variable called area?
Variable for the area. Okay.
So we assign pi r square
I shall assign pi r square.
to the variable area.
Is that what you mean?
And then you create a variable called the second or UIR, something of that sort. Circumference, yes. Then you equate it to 2 pi r. Is it I think circumference or something? Yes.
By r. Mm-hmm.
Now you create your if element. So if
If
okay, so a variable of radius.
a variable of radius. Okay. Huh?
Okay. So radius equals if radius less than or equal to 6.
Come again.
Now you go to the if statement.
Now your radius, you didn't finish.
The radius 6. No, I wanted to assign like just can you just
So
make it
give
a
me
variable,
any
the radius.
number. Okay, let me take 3.4.
Okay.
All right.
If the variable if radius
Now I want you to mention how the if strata looks like. So, like
radius
tell
equals
me if then we open this, you put this in there. I don't know whether you get my point.
just so okay, if radius I wanted to assign the radius, just the radius without inputting any number.
No, you have to get a number, else it will crash.
If
So we
radius
are just assuming that the radius is now 3.4.
okay, so if radius is less than or equal to 6,
We should make the radius equal to 6.
no, I'm saying the if
Mhm.
statement, if radius is
Okay.
less than or equal to 6,
Okay, if radius is greater than
less than
less than or equal to 6. Mm-hmm.
then print area.
Then we echo
Area.
area.
Yes. Else echo circumference.
Else
Echo circumference. Let's say CIR. Yes, that's what we are trying to. So echo CIR.
all right, so in this case, which one will be executed?
I think the area because the radius is less than 6.
Okay. We are going to get an let's go ahead and get the error. So we have an error on line 20. You say pi is this undefined constant for pi. Then we also have undefined constant for r. And then we also have line 21 undefined pi and then assumed r. So your program is wrong. Your structure looks okay, but your program is wrong. All right, so it's good you made that error. Let me take the time and iterate what I've been saying to you guys always. Now, in programming, remember we always have inputs followed by process to make your work easier. Then you have output. Now, if you follow this principle and write any program at all, now you can't skip, algorithms are step-by-step instructions. So once you bring something before the other, if you bring something before the other, you're going to mess up your program. You've written a nice program, but your arrangement of the inputs, process, and output have made it erroneous. Why? Now, when you look at your process here, now you've made a process because area is a process. Now, this R here, what does it stand for? It doesn't even know what it's standing for. Our pi 2 is also the same thing. You could have gone ahead to assign, but I think there's a function that should have made this thing work perfectly. But let's assume that we are supposed to assign a value to our pi. Then we also have our radius. Now, the radius becomes our input because if you check the statement based on the scenario here, calculate the area of a circle. Calculate. So calculation means that this particular area is a process. So you are able to know the process within this statement. So we have the area as one of the processes. You also have the circumference as one of the processes. Now it says check if the radius is less than. So that means you should have a number for the radius. You should have a value for the radius. That becomes the input. As for the area, we can't tell because the area has to be dependent on the radius before we can compute the area and the circumference. Now, it says go ahead and compute the area, else compute the circumference. So this is what you could have done. So first of all, we'll take away our radius because once we have our radius, we are able to calculate for our area and also our circumference. So now we check if the radius is less than or equal to 6. Then I'll go ahead. So in our first section here, we have the input here. Now we can have our pi as 3.142. We can do this as well. So it's acceptable. Now because the pi, we know the value of pi. We know the value of pi. So you can go ahead and put, or you can totally ignore this area. Normally, I don't want to declare variables like that. Then once you have your inputs, you can go ahead and then, so you must make sure that the program you're writing, you know all the inputs needed, the things you need to cook, because without the things that you need to cook, so it's more like you want to prepare braised rice, and braised rice, you don't have rice, you don't have anything, and you still want to cook it. How then do you cook it? So just the same thing in programming. Before you cook anything, you should have the inputs, the values that you want to work with. So right now, based on the information we have here, area and circumference, we all that we need is a radius. Now, once you are done, the process is this: check if the radius is less than or equal to 6, then calculate the area. So we have the area, so you can go ahead and declare a variable here and say area is equal to, and we know that area is pi r squared. So I can go ahead and say 3.142 times the radius. Then we have the star 2. Then you can go ahead and now display. So once we are done with calculating, go ahead and display our answer for us. Now, should the radius be more than 6 or more than or equal to 6, then you can go ahead and calculate for the circumference. You can go ahead and then calculate the circumference. Circumference, we know that is 2 pi 142 times radius. And that is it. So here our radius is 3.4. Is 3.4 less than 6? Yes. 3.4 is less than 6. So it will go ahead and calculate our area for us. So let's see if this will give us another error. Fresh. All right, so radius in undefined radius. Am I misspelling? Okay, yeah, so I skipped the dollar sign. All right. Yeah, so we have our radius to be 36.3215. So please always have it in mind have it in mind that you always need to have your program organized. Have it organized. Once you have it organized, you won't have any issue at all. You won't have any issues at all. So please try and organize your work. Please, who is confused at this point? So this is answer for the area. So assuming we have 6.4 is more than that, so we are going to calculate for our circumference. Once we refresh, it should have, or it should give us our new value. Please, any question at this point? So everything is clear now with the if and else statement. All right, so we also have the last and then the list of the if and else statement. We have the if and else and the else state. The if and the else if statement execute different codes for more than two conditions. So in instances where you have more than two conditions, you are required to use the if and else if statement. I'm going to copy this code. Clear everything here. So this is if, and then else. So to read this code, we are saying that we have a time for a variable called t, which has been assigned 21. We are saying that if t is less than 20, if t is less than 20, you should say good morning. If it is less than, now this 20 here is not a number, so we'll have a good day. Then else we have a good night, as you can see from here. All right, so the else and if statement, if and else, if and the else, when you have more than two conditions, then you can go ahead and use the if and the else if statement.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Please, why is it the number in line 6, like the 20? Why is it not a number? Please, can you explain?
Now, when you see in programming, when you see any number in a string, now it's just a string. Because of the quote here, that is why we call it not be a number. I don't know that you get the point. You have something like this. Now, if you have a variable, and once you do this, it means it's a string, like letters. Now check even how the system will display. Now the same variable is equal to, now you can see if it's a number. Have you seen that the color is different from this one? It is because of the quote here. So anytime you see in program, anytime you see a value in quotes, it means that it's a string. So let me put the same 4, 5, 6 here. Have you seen the difference here? So now this one is a number. So with numbers, we don't put quotes around them. So the moment you are putting something which is not a quote, which is not a number, and you are putting it in a quote, then that means to be seen as a string. So we human beings, we are seeing this as a number, but the computer does not see this as a number for calculation. It sees it as a string. You get a point?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so we can see that numbers are even in different colors, in a different color compared to those in quotes. Yeah. So in any programming language at all, once you see a number which is within any quote, then that means that number cannot be used for any form of calculation.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Please, in your else if statement, you are comparing an int to a string.
Yes.
Please, why?
Come again.
You are comparing an int. The variable t is storing an integer data type, and you are comparing it to a string.
Yeah, because I could have equally made this one to a string statement.
Okay.
So that once it gets here, this one is true, so it will say have a day. Yeah, so it depends. It depends on what you are doing. You can play around so far as you understand what you are writing.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, so let's take an example of the else if statement. The else if statement. Now I want to write a simple program before let me pen them down. So if I have 90, between 90 and 100, I should display grade A. If I have 80 to 89, I should display grade B. Also, if I have 70 to 79, I should display grade C. And if I have 60 to 69, should give me grade D. Then if I have anything below 60, then I can say that you have failed. So here, there are so many conditions. If the person gets between 90 to 100, it should be A. Then it has to check again. If the person's score or marks is between 80 to 89, it should be B. Then check again if it is between 70 to 79, then make it C. Else, if it is also between 60 and 69, go for D. Else, if it is below 60, just call it failure. So now, this is where you can appreciate the else if more because there are so many conditions. If it's not this, go and check if it is this, else if it's not this, check whether it is this, else then you come to the last and then. All right, so we'll look at marks. So we'll look at the student marks. So assuming we have the student mark to be 85, that will be our first input. And once we are done, we start with our if statements. So our first will be like marks. So we check if the marks is greater than or equal to 90. If it is, then go ahead and then echo grade A. Then you terminate, then you close it. Now there are more information. So we go ahead and say else if. So else if to have its own condition there. So it will check if the marks is less than or greater than 80. If it is, go ahead and then echo that for us. All right, I'm continuing. Yeah, so we check again, else if. Now, because of the if statement, else if has a condition. So check very well. Our first if has a condition because we are putting it in brackets. Else if also plays the same role because of the if here. Then the else if here also continue in the same manner. So we check if the marks again is greater than or less than 70. Greater than or equal to. If it is, then go ahead and then echo onto us grade C. So once you are done, we close the parentheses for that. Then our work still continues. So we have else if our marks is greater than or equal to 60. If it is, then go ahead and echo grade D. Then you can close that one too. Now, if any of the conditions here do not meet, then our last else comes in. Else, note that else has no condition to play. So you can just go ahead and then echo grade F, or let's say we say fail. You can go ahead and close that one, its parentheses. Now, also note that in programming, every bracket that is opened should be closed. If it is a normal bracket or curly bracket or square bracket, once you open a bracket, it must be closed. So this is open, closed, opened here, closed there, opened here, closed there, opened here, closed there, opened here, closed here as well. So we follow this structure. So now our marks here is 85. So it will check, is marks 85 greater than or equal to 90? No, it is not. So it will skip this part and then check. Else if, we check if our 85 greater than 80, yes, it is greater than 80. Once it is true, then it will just echo B for us. So we can just save, come to our work here, you can see that grade B is showing. Assuming we have 55, now is 55 greater than 90? No. So it will skip and check, else is 55 greater than 80? Another no. To skip, then it will come here, is 55 greater than 70? Another no. to skip to this section is 55 greater than or equal to 60? No. So it will skip. So since it's not satisfying any of the conditions here, then it will be assumed as well fail. So let's go ahead and save. Fresh. It is showing us failed. So this is how you can inculcate the use of the multiple if statement. If and else statement, you check. So check. Anytime you have a scenario, you check whether you have multiple conditions. If the conditions are more than two, then your guy here is the use of the if and else if statement. Yes. Go ahead. What's your name? Alphonse. So, come again.
I want to ask
Huh?
if, should in case you want to put it in a range, right? Let's say the max equal to or greater than the 80. If you want to put it in a range between, let's say 80 to 90, how will you go about it?
80 to 90.
Yes, please.
Can introduce the and then go ahead and give it let's say less than 100. So you have to check. If it's greater than 90, it also check whether it is less than, so that because we can't have marks with this particular let me show you something. With this particular what's the name? Code, if I'm to put 105 here, it will show me 90, it will show me grade A. Here's the case to in our real world, no one can get more than 100. So to ensure that that is going to be done, you can go ahead and introduce the logical operator. What's the name?
And
The AND to check if it is here or it is there. Once we have 100, sorry, what is this AND? Press our AND here now. Okay? Am I doing wrong here? I'm using the tautology that is happening here. So you can go ahead and add up so that it will keep the work within the actual range that you are looking for. So you can see that 105 doesn't fit here. So you just went ahead and then used the 80 to get the job done. So you can go ahead and then fit in the remaining aspects like this, and you shall get whatever you are looking for. So you have
so
yes.
one last question. I want to know the syntax for user input code.
We'll get there. Okay. Want to
Uh,
use input code, we get there. I don't want to confuse anyone right now. Before people start getting confused. So we are normally if you want to get the user inputs, normally we have to add up the HTML section, and that will be your project that I'll be giving to you. Yeah, so that you Based on the HTML code, you can get the user input code and then you can use it for your project. So that will be my
Okay,
next slide. Yeah, that will be my next slide when it comes to the PHP aspect. Yeah, so very soon our time will be up. So let me just brief us on how the project is going to be. All right, so your assignment is this. Create a simple project, simple PHP project. And you can't create, I don't know how to put it. I've provided everything. Try and use a little bit of HTML and CSS to make your work nice. Now, create a simple PHP form handling. So this is where you want to accept data from users. We have the form. Now, create a simple CRUD application connecting to a database using my PHP, my admin. Everything you need here is in this slide. Everything you need here is in this slide. So you take your time, you read to get the information right. Now, when we say CRUD CRUD application, now CRUD application is for create. The C here is for create. R is for retrieving. Then U is for update and D is for deletion. So the same group that you guys used, sit down and create any application that involves accepting inputs, which is the create. You are saving data into a database. You create data, then you should also find a way of retrieving the data from the database, as well as we can also update the data, and also we should be able to delete the data. So these are going to be buttons that once we click on the create or add, it will collect the information on the form and then it will go straight into the database. Now, when we click on retrieve, normally retrieve may not have a button because sometimes some applications, once you add, automatically it will appear. But if you want to go ahead and still create a button for that, once you add, they come and click on retrieve, you are fine. But whatever be the case, your system should be able to perform adding data on the database, retrieving data from the database, and also when we want to update any of the data in a database, it should be possible with a U. Then the D is for deletion. So we are going to make an HTML file. We're going to also create a PHP file and then a database connection. Now insert data into the database. So to do that, we have the get and the post methods. Get and the post method are used to collect form data. So example, within our PHP file, we have our HTML code, we create a form. So this application is quite simple. It only collects the name of a person and also the email of that person. So it's only going to collect two things. Now, you need the methods here within the form. We have the action. Now, within the action, we have another PHP file called the action page. So that means we are going to create another PHP file called the action page, such that when the submit button is clicked, it will go ahead and then pick the action page within your folder, and then you use the method post to be able to send the person's name. Remember, the input here is always used for collecting data. So input type, which is text, then you can go ahead and then give it a name that will be used in getting the data. Then input type text here. Now we have email, we have password. Just in case you are dealing with password, you can go ahead and put in password for your inputs, the input type. And also if you want to go for numbers, that one too is also there. So your work is to go ahead and get those information. So create any application at all. Maybe you are creating an application to collect student names and their grades. Once you do that, it's also possible to add update, delete, and retrieve the data. You can also be looking at a simple shop where you are keeping stock of items that are being brought in your in a particular store. So you are required to go and get that job done. All right. So look for any application. Okay. So now with the HTML form, I've explained the action page and the post here, and everything here explains whatever it is. So take your time, read. Everything here is self-explanatory here. Read and then make sure you don't misspell. When you create a file and you are putting the name here, don't misspell the name. Because once you misspell the name, the file will not be found. Make sure that the name is exact as this and then the extension. So now once you are done with this, or if you want to be a bit, if you are a lazy person like I am, you can go ahead and even copy the codes, follow the instructions, copy all the codes that are placed in there, and make sure the system is working. Once it is working, you can come and you can go ahead and then pick any application of your choice and update the system as you want. Now, this still explains. So this slide is also still explaining this part of the code. So you always need the form element, and every form element goes with the action. So the action is just what actually needs to be done. You create another file to help that job to be complete. Now, once you are done, you come to your PHP MyAdmin, the MySQL here, PHP MyAdmin. So once you click on that, it should bring you here. Machine is running too slow. Good. So this is the interface of the PHP MyAdmin. Yeah, so you guys are already doing database, so wrap your head around this. But
No,
just
sir, we are not doing it.
yeah, some of you are not doing it. Yeah, some of you are not
Yes,
doing it. Some of you are
yes.
not doing it. Okay, so you people are not doing it. All right. But whatever you need here is here. So select database on the left side of the dashboard. So on the dashboard, the left side here, you can create a database here. So click on new and it will ask you to create a database here. This project is going to be a bit challenging. You have to go ahead and then learn whatever it is. Okay, so we have the database here. Then input your database name and then click on create. So to create it is so easy. Maybe let's say group C. This is the name of the database. You click on create and then it will be added here. You can see group C has been added. Then every database has a table. So you can see that it says create table. So based on the number of data you are collecting, now based on this simple application here, we are only collecting two data, email and then name and then email. So we need only two columns. We need only two columns for our work. Others may choose three, so you can just go ahead and say I need only two of the columns. Now we need a table. Maybe table name can be person table. Then you need the number of columns, which is 2, and then click on go. So once you click on go, it will create the table and you have only 2 columns. Now the first column here, we are collecting people's names. So we go with name and then we have the email. Now a name is not an integer type, it's a varchar type. So you can go ahead and make it varchar. Then email too is also a varchar. a varchar type, and then you specify the length. The letters in the person's name shouldn't exceed 50. In the same way, the email address should also not exceed 50, the length. So if you have kinsley@gmail.com, when we count individual characters, it shouldn't exceed 50. The same way, the name of a person should not exceed 20. Once you are done, you click on save, and that one too will be created as simple as ABC. So this is our database. We've created two guys here, so that once we get the person's name, you have the names here, and then the emails will also be carded in this particular arena. So trust me, everything you need is here. You can see that I've shown you step-by-step instructions on how to create the database in the PHP MyAdmin. So to go to a PHP MyAdmin, once you come to the exam, you just click on Admin, and it will bring you to this very page here. So I've taken my time, explained the data types as we used right here. Get time to read, create database called demo database. Once you create a demo database, you go ahead and create the table, give it a name, and here I use 3 columns. So you can just go ahead and click on go or the save button to create the various columns. So once you create a column, here it is a done deal. And then now let's link the database to our PHP file. So first set the connection parameters. So you need these guys. So to set the database or to connect to the database, you need a database server name. The server name remains constant as localhost. So you just copy everything and paste into that particular file. So it's localhost. Then database. The name of the database is personal database, as we used here. So this one is demo database. So you can go ahead and say demo database for the database name. I don't know why I use personal database here. It's supposed to be demo database. So the name of the database you used here, all these are databases. So what we use here is demo database. So you are supposed to go and look for. So you type in demo database instead of personal database. Let me edit it. We have demo database. Let me skim the color for now. Yeah, so then the username is root. Username here is root, and then the password is just an opening and closing. So the only thing that will change here, normally when you have if you have a different name, if your database has a different name other than demo database, go ahead and do that. Else, every other information here remains constant. Then create a connection to the database. Then you need this code in addition. Irene, you are making noise. All right, so you also need the connection, MySQL Connect. Then you pass in these variable names, these very ones. In here, separated by a comma, you terminate that. Then you check if the connection is working. Then you have if, then we check if it's not connecting, give us the error why it's not connecting, else tell us the connection has been successful. Then let's link the database to our, so we are still linking the database. So make the SQL statement. So to insert data into our database, we say insert. We have the SQL as a variable to hold the information here. Then we say insert into persons table. the table we create, a table we created was called persons table. Then inside the persons table, we have name and email. Then values, you pass in this variable in PHP. Then you check if it saves the record, it should say successful. Else, it should give us the error why it couldn't successfully save in the database. And once you are done, you close the database. Sorry, you close the connection. Remember, you open the connection and then you have to close the connection. So, time will not permit us. So you can start coding with this information and try your hands on this one. Once you are done, then you can go ahead and find any application at all that can collect data, like any form of data. So if you are collecting data on fruits, that's another application. If you want to collect data on maybe cars, their brand names and stuff. So the application should be simple. You should be able to add into the database. Now this section is only to insert data. They have to go and look for the codes that will help you update, also retrieve, and then delete data from the database. So I'll end here. If you have any question on the project, let me know so that I can clarify that. Because you have 2 weeks to work on that. You have 2 weeks to work on that. Any question?
So please, when I joined, you were speaking about mid-sem. I didn't hear everything concerning that. So I was asking if the project is the mid-sem or the mid-sem is.
The project is not the mid-sem. The project is not the mid-sem. So note, the project is not the mid-sem. How do I even put it? The mid-sem is going to be online MCQs, about 20 of them, but it's going to be tough. So be prepared for that. And then when you go and it is 40, that is fine. But I think I'll be doing it 20. If you go and it is 40, just get it done. Yeah, so it's going to be based on Python and the PHP that we've studied so far. Now, the following week that you're supposed to meet, you try and work on the project. So this is another project to work on. It's not a missing. Then you're supposed to submit it on Wednesday, 11:59. You send your source code to Abna, so that Abna will send them to me.
Thank you, sir.
Any other concerns? All right. In the absence of any question, you can call it a day. See you next week online on our mid-sem.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, sir.